Hello and welcome back. Last time we left off with drawing text onto the screen, and we took out some of this black because we didn't have any alpha. So today we are going to work on skins. Skins are how you draw boxes, buttons, uh, just about anything with a background. Uh, for instance, like a window or something. And that is exactly what we're going to be working on. But first, I want to reduce the size of this font because right now it's pretty big. And I'm probably going to be using 16 because that should be about right to fit inside of our windows whenever we start drawing them. So that looks fine. I did notice that on certain letters I'm still having a little issue with overlapping some of the characters. So inside of the font class, if I can remember exactly, right here, I'm going to change it from 5 to 8 just to add a little bit more padding in there so that we're not catching pieces of other characters. And that should be fine. Alright, so I've already done a little bit of this just to kind of speed things along. Uh, Inside of your textures, you need to create a new texture and call it default GUI.png. And it's going to be 64 by 64. And so how I have it broken down right now is each one of these is 16 by 16. You don't have to do that. It is definitely not necessary. But that's just how I do it right now because I'm probably going to add a little bit more padding. So I'm doing it 16 by 16 just so that I'll make sure that there's enough padding in between the edges of the box or window and the text. But you'll see that here in a little bit. So for now, just all we're going to be using is this box right here, this 16 by 16. So just create a box. It's 16 by 16 and is starts at the 16th pixel down all the way to the left. That's it. So once you have that done, you will need to create another file and call it default GUI, capital D, default, capital GUI, dot skin. And it's just the file name we're going to be using. So how you're going to type this out is currently we're just going to do a box. And right here is the name of the image that we're going to be using. The name of the image is default GUI. The name of the area that I'm going to be capturing, I'm just going to call it box. You can name this whatever you want. So you can have 100 of these if you wanted. So it's not limited, and it's just whatever you want to call anything and whatever. So offset is the position. So it's 0, 16, which is exactly like how our image is, all the way to the left, 16th pixel down. And how I said I'm using 16 by 16 is that box. So the whole area is 16 by 16. Now for the padding, I have it set to 2, 2, 2, 2. How that works is basically I want to stretch everything inside of here. This is what I'm stretching. So there's 2 pixels on each side. This is X, this is Y, this is width, this is height. So first, second, third, fourth. So whenever we get to this right here, which is our window, we will have to change it. Or we'll have to add another one that says window. And the reason why I'm doing 16 by 16 is because of the size of the text. So it'll fit inside of this box. Because on this window, we're going to stretch this. And then all the rest is going to stay the same dimensions. But I'm skipping ahead. But that's how the padding is set up. Now, it needs to be written down exactly like this. So how you see it. Image, colon, default GUI. And then name, colon, box, offset, colon, all this information. It has to be written down exactly like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create another folder inside of your resources and just call it skins. And just drop it down in there. So once you have that, then you have all the external resources we need. So the first thing that we need, that we know that we're going to need, is a default GUI style. Or not really default, but a GUI style. So let's create a new class inside of the GUI package. And we're going to call it GUI style, just like Unity. I know I mentioned that a lot, but it's just a good reference to say, uh, hey, this, if you want to know more about what this is, you can look at Unity and it's called the exact same thing, and we're doing the same thing. The variables may be a little different, but the general consensus is the same. All right, so inside of the GUI style, we are going to need a few things. We're going to need a string name, like always, and we're going to need a rect offset, and offset is going to be the position and width and height. And next we need the padding. So public rect padding. Then we need another rect UV and another rect padding UV. So this is the UV for the entire box. This is the UV for just the sides of like the padding. padding is the size in pixels, and offset is the full thing in pixels. So that's why there's so many rectangles. In order to draw a box on the screen, we need all this information. That's why there's so many recs. But it's cached once it's created, so it really doesn't matter. So now we need to do the constructor. So I'm going to do public GUI style. I'm going to need string name. Need a texture T. I believe. Maybe. We'll see. Alright, then rect offset. Rect padding. Alright, so in here we're going to go this dot name equals name. Just set everything. This dot offset equals offset. This dot padding equals padding. So that sets the full size recs immediately. So we don't need to do any calculations on that. But I am going to, because we need to get the UV for the entire box and we need the UV for the padding. So I'm going to cache the width and the height. Yes, we will need the texture. So we'll need the width and height of the texture and we'll cache it. So I'm going to float W equals T dot width. Float H equals T dot height. And then that caches that. And I'm just putting W and H just because we don't need to type it all out. We're going to be using it quite a bit, so W and H works fine. So now we need to create the UV rect, which is UV equals new rect. And then all we're going to do is offset.x divided by W, and offset.y divided by H, and offset.width divided by W, offset.height divided by H. Very simple, not complicated at all. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for padding. So equals new padding UV. Padding UV equals new rect. Padding dot x divided by W. Padding dot y divided by y. Padding dot width divided by W. Padding dot height divided by y. Oh, H. Not Y. H. Height. There we go. And that class is finished. Well, for now. Now we need to do the GUISkin. We need to read it in and create each of the styles. Because this right here, this information right here is one style. So then it would just continue with all the different styles. So let's go back into the GUI package and create a new class called GUISkin. Alright, and here we need the texture that this skin is going to be attached to, or use, not really attached to. And we need a list of skins. That way we can search for it if we need to. So do list of GUI style, call it styles equals new array list of GUI style. And of course, import these in. We're going to be using the list from Java util, just like usual. Alright, so in the constructor, we're going to need a string name. So this is going to be the... What the hell do I need? Oh. I'm not naming it. This is the name that we're going to be checking the folder for. So the first thing we need is buffered reader, because we're reading it in. So buffered reader BR. No. Yeah, close it, because I got to do a try statement. So we'll do try. Go BR equals new buffered reader, new file reader, new file. And then we put it in dot res slash skins, go plus name plus, and then just put dot, I put capital S for skin. And why aren't you letting me do? Oh, I gotta import file and file reader. There we go. Alright, and if you're wondering, this red is because I haven't put the catch statement yet. So after that we need to get the texture. So texture equals, we put this handy little function in here, texture.find br.readline, and then go split. We're going to split it at, alright, hold on, I think I did it like this. Let me see. Split it, yeah, split it to space. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to split it at the space, and then get, so it basically splits it into an array of strings. So if I split it at here, then this is in string element 0, this is in string element 1. So this is going to be the name of the texture that we're going to be using. So split it space, and then get the second element, which is 1. Alright, so now we need to read the line. So from now on, everything is all GUI styles after that. So we're going to go string line equals br dot read line. And what that's going to do is just read the line and then store it in there. And then I'm just going to check if the line does not equal null. So I'm going to go if line does not equal null, then I know that there's a line being read. So I'm going to say if line dot starts with name, then I know that there's a GUI style right there. And so all we care about is the name. So if the current line is name, then what we need to do is we need to split it up into a couple different arrays for the information. So we don't really care about that line now. So what we're going to do, we're that current while iteration. So we're going to go string, call it O. Might as well be something easy. br dot no read line, and then like before we're going to split it at space. We need second element, which is 1, and then what we're going to do is we're going to split it at the comma. We're going to do the exact same thing again. So what this does is it'll read it and go to a new line. So this one we're going to go P, make it easy again. So it's going to be exactly the same. So it's going to read this line for offset, and then it knows that it's on another line. So then it reads it again, or it reads another line, which is P for padding. And then now that we're splitting it at the commas, you don't want any spaces in here. If you have any spaces, it's going to jack around, and you're going to have to remove the spaces in the text. So just leave no spaces. So now we have the string information for offset and padding. So now that we have that, now we need to go rect offset equals new rect, and then we're going to parse this. So we're going to go parse float, and then just go O, oops, why did it, O0, and then we're going to do it again. Go float dot parse float, and go O, and then we need this element, and then float dot parse float O, and obviously you could definitely tell I do not use those characters much. Well, who the hell does, really? Even when you program all the time, you don't hardly ever use those characters. Alright, and that is that. We need to import rec though. Alright, so now we have the offset, and then we need the padding, which will do the exact same thing. Except for we need to change offset to padding, and change all these O's, not the 0, to a P instead of an O. Alright, and that crunches that. So now we have all the information we need to create the GUI style. So GUI style equals new GUI style. And we're going to go line dot split, parse it, and then 1, because that's going to be the name of the style, because we haven't set line to be anything else but the name of the style. So even though we were reading more lines, we were never setting this line variable. So it's still that. So we need to split it just like we did here. And now we have the information we need for all that. Yes, I need to pass in the texture. So now pass in texture, and offset, and then padding. That should be it for that. So then we need to add it to our list of styles. So styles dot add style. And like I said, that's mainly for it's for just finding a style. So if you don't have it cached anywhere in a script, say in your game script or whatever, and you need to get a style or whatever that was read in, that wasn't manually read in, then you can just find it. So now I need to set the line to the next line. So br.readLine. So then I'll move on to the next style. And yes, at the end I need to close it. So always need to close your buffered reader. So now we need the catch statement, which is, we're using, for this catch statement, IO exception E. And normally you have this like whenever you surround it, because if you try this buffered reader right here without putting a try statement, it's going to throw an error. It's going to make you set it up in a try catch statement. So it's normally already set up, but I will do the regular print stack trace. So print stack trace, or e dot print tracks the stack trace. I'm going to go system dot error dot, you know what, we're not going to do that yet. Yeah, we're not going to do that yet. Wait, why would I exit it? Just, no. No, I don't even want to exit the program if it can't be found, because that just wouldn't make any sense. It'll just, I'll just return. Yeah, it would just be null, so it doesn't matter. Alright. Now, need a getter statement. Styles. Let's do private. We can set that to public, because just so that if you want to change the skin later, so you can get it and then just change the texture. Yeah, so we'll need a getter for an individual style. So if we have the GUISkin, but we need to get the style. So public GUI style, say get string name. Oh, we need to loop. Need a loop. So, like we always do, int I. There. So, cache in the iterator variable. So, now the normal stuff. For I equals 0, I is lower than like skins? Styles. Styles dot, it's not, yeah, it is size. I always get that mixed up. Alright, so we're going to loop through it, and then we're going to go if, I didn't call it that, styles dot get I dot name dot equals name. So if this name equals the name of the GUI style, then we're going to return style.get I style styles. So we're going to return styles.get I. So if it goes through all that and it cannot find it, then we're going to return null. Okay, so that is it for that function, or that crap, skin. And now we can go in here. No, I'll put it right here. I have to. So, since the style relies on the texture, the styles have to be, the style and skin has to be called after the texture has been imported. Otherwise, of course, it's going to fail. Whenever we set up automatic importing, then we won't ever have to worry about anything like this. But we have not set that up yet. But it will be very soon, so look out for that. The reason why we haven't set it up yet is because there's still several more things to do before we start setting that up. So in here, say GUISkin equal, or GUISkin skin equals, wait, two. No. No, not after this. Not in the core, because the GUI needs its own skin. So font, I'll put it right there. Okay, so in the initialization function in the GUI class, we need to say GUISkin. Now we need to go skin equals new GUI skin, and we called it default. And was it called default skin or default GUI? Default GUI. No. Yes. It's called default GUI.skin. Default GUI. And then right here we'll say private static GUISkin equals no skin. All right. So then that sets up a new skin. So now the skin has been created. Make sure this doesn't throw any errors. Okay. So that, right? Yeah. Doesn't throw any errors, so it's being loaded just fine. So now I need to create a new function in the GUI class, and this is going to draw a box. Which drawing a box is going to be exactly the same as drawing a window. So anything that you don't want stretched out, like the sides stretched out, it's going to be using the box function. Anything that you don't care if it stretches out or you don't need it to, let's say if it's just like a black box or like a draw rect, which we will do that later, then it won't call that. But anything that does not need the side stretched, it will call this function. So, little heads up. So, need public static void box. Set up the variables here in just a second. Let's see here. What do I need? For now, you know what? We're not going to return void. We're going to return the box. Or the actual rect. Because whenever we're drawing, yes, it's going to draw the box just fine. But whenever we put text into it, let's say we want to draw a box background and just throw some text into it. We want to start the text right here. We want to draw it inside of here, not out here on the very far edge. We want it to start wherever the padding ends. So that's why, like I said, I made these so big, is because I may add extra padding. It just depends. So I may bring the padding way out here, just so that it gives enough room away from the edges for the text to be rendered clearly and read clearly. So we're going to return the rectangle that's inside of that. So whatever's being stretched is being returned. So I need the rect where we're going to draw the box at. And I need a string style. And like I said before, we're going to search and find this style within the GUI skin that we have up here. So whatever skin is on, then we can do that. I may eventually put font up here in public and skin up here in public. Actually, these aren't even public. I may put no, I don't want to do that. But I may put font and skin up here in the public static variables later. I'm not going to do it right now. But just so that you can change it like from in the game or whatever, instead of putting getters and setters. So the name of the style is what we're going to pass through here. So what we need to do is we need to get the style. So we need to go GUI style. I'm going to be using a lot of letters in here. put E. I don't think E is going to be a letter that we're going to be using. Skin.get style. We're going to be using a lot of letters because of the way that we have to draw this. So how it works is we're not just going to draw one thing like this, because then it's going to stretch out the edges. How this works is we're going to draw a square on the corner. We're going to draw this on another quad or another mesh. Draw that one, and the sides, and then the center, right side, and then same thing with the bottom. So it's in total going to draw what, nine different squares on the screen. And you may think, oh no, it's going to mess with performance or whatever. No, this is all it's all batched together. So you don't have to worry about that at all, because batching is perfectly fine. It's the same thing with, rendering a word or whatever. You have to render each individual letter square. So don't worry about performance, because it's not going to do anything to it. All right. So now that we have, or at least we look for the skin, because it can return null. So what we need to do is we need to check if E equals null. And if it equals null, then we cannot draw a box because we don't have the style that it's telling us to draw. So we're going to return null because we're not going to draw it. So now we get down to the crappy stuff. Not really crappy stuff, but a long list of drawing all that crap. But since we have this helpful draw texture with texture coordinates function, we can break it down a lot easier, because all we have to do is just call that function. And here in a little bit, I need to take this and throw it into that function too, because we don't need to draw all these glyphs individually like this. We need to call that function, because every single function in the GUI needs to call this function. And like I explained before, it's extremely important that it does that. And I'm going to change this function too at the end of this video, because we need to pass in color as well. Because as of right now, if we let's say we draw a box, and then we draw text, and then we draw a box again, the colors are going to get all screwed up because of the way that we have it right now. So we need to change that at the very end of this video. So let's get on with this. So we're going to start with the top left. So we're going to go PL equals new rect, and we're going to go r.x, r.y, e dot padding dot x, e dot padding dot y. So the top left, pretty simple. We're going to go rect top left UV. So now we're in UV coordinates. Is new rect e dot UV dot x, e dot UV dot y, e dot padding UV dot x, e dot padding UV dot y. And in case you're wondering, just so that it doesn't confuse you, because the way that we're using recs right now is not the way that you would normally use them, but this is how we're going to use them for this particular reason. So on a rect, this is x, That's y width height. I said that earlier. Well, if you're not paying attention, you assume width is width. Or, you know, the size of something. But it's the size, or it's actually the size of each one. And x is not a position, it's the left side size of it. So x, y, width, height. Just keep that in mind, okay? Because I know it will definitely confuse anybody who does it, because the way that I program things is a little bit different. I reuse classes whenever needed. I'm not going to make an entirely new class and bulk up a bunch of crap when I could just be reusing another class. So here I'm going to be using just rect. So now we can just draw it. So we can go draw texture with texture coordinates. I'm going to call T. Do I have? I never set up the texture. So texture T equals skin dot texture. Wait, why would I need to cat? Oh no, because I didn't create a. Okay, yeah, because I made it public. I remember now. All right, so I'm gonna pass in the texture, pass in the top left box rect, and the top left UV. And for now, I'm just gonna return null. We'll change that later, but just to get rid of that error. I don't know why I just did that. Over here in the core function, let's go ahead and call a method. This way we can check it as we're doing it to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So GUI.box new rect I'll do 50, 50, 100, 100. So 50 on the X, 50 on the Y, so over here somewhere, and then 100 wide, 100 tall. The name of the style is box. All right, and that is the box being called. And you can barely see it up there. It is very, very small. But yes, that is the correct corner. So it's the top left corner. Because we're going to have to make sure that we're rendering the correct corners of each. So there's the top left corner done. Now we need to do the top right corner. And the reason why we're caching these is because we're going to use these later as well, just so that we don't have to type out all the mathematics to it. And since you have to pass recs anyways for the draw texture with texture chords, works out perfectly fine. So do rect and then top right equals new rect. And now we're going to have to do the width of the position of that quad. So r dot x plus r dot width, and then subtract e dot padding dot width. That should be right. And then pass in r dot y and e dot padding dot width, because we want the far right, like I said. So it's not the width of the padding, it's the width of the right side padding. And then e dot padding dot y, because we want the top padding size. Alright, now it's rect top right UV equals new rect. Then this one will have stupid math to it as well. So UV dot x plus E dot UV dot width minus E dot padding UV dot wait, what? Let me take a look at this. UV down. Yes, yes, it is width. Just screwed myself up there for a second. And then do E dot padding UV dot Y. No, E dot UV. We want the UV dot Y. Yes. And then we need the size of the padding. So E dot padding UV dot width, and then E dot padding UV dot Y. Alright, so then now we have that. So texture with texture chords. Go T, top right U. Alright, there's the other one. So now we have the top right done. Now let's do the bottom left. So, rect PL equals new rect. And that's going to be at r dot x. And go r dot y plus r dot height. And then minus e dot. What a freaking fart! Oh, I keep hitting that. Minus e dot padding height, and e dot padding dot x, and e dot padding dot height. So left padding, bottom padding. And do rect blue equals new rect. Oh, e dot uv dot x, e dot uv dot y plus e dot uv dot height minus e dot padding uv dot height, e dot padding uv dot x, e dot padding uv dot height. Try to do this as quickly as possible. There's a lot of boxes to draw. Texture with drawtexture chords TBLBLU. And that is the correct corner for that. Now we need to do the bottom right. So, rect bottom right equals new rect. And now we can actually begin sorry, my back. Now we can actually begin reusing some of these variables because we've already done some of them. So, right here, I can actually use BR, use TR for the top right. So top right dot X, and go BL dot Y, E dot padding dot width, E dot padding dot height. So bam, reused two of them. So rect BRU equals new rect TRU dot X, BLU dot Y, and E dot padding UV dot width, and E dot padding UV dot, would it be Y? No, it would be height. Right, wouldn't it be the same? Padding. Yes, it would be the same. Let's say height. Alright, I'm tired of typing the same thing. BR, why did I call it? Oh, because it is bottom right. Okay, so BR, BRU. And that should be the bottom right. And it looks like it, yeah. So we're getting there. Now we got the four corners. Now we need to do the sides. So go rect L equals new rect R dot X. Go R dot Y plus E dot padding dot E dot padding dot Y, E dot padding dot X, and then R dot Y, height. R dot height minus E dot padding dot Y plus E dot padding dot height. Alright, there's that one. And now we need left UV, which is E dot UV dot X, and then E dot UV dot Y plus E dot padding UV dot Y, E dot padding UV, wait, did I just do that right? Yes. And then the left, and then E dot UV dot height minus E dot, no, E dot padding UV dot Y plus E dot padding UV dot height, correct? Okay, height Y, okay. What do I do that for? Paste that. Remove the B. And that should be the left side. And it's not. Well, it's the left side. Oh, because I put a freaking equal sign. Keep on hitting the wrong key. There we go. So then that draws the left side on. Now we need to move on to the right side. Ugh. Getting there. Almost done. R equals new rect. Oh no, we can't use R. Because we have R up there, so our I equals new rect. Let's reuse some of these. So now that we're doing the right side, we can steal it from the top right. So R dot Y plus E dot padding dot Y, E dot padding dot width, and then I can just steal the height from the left. I really wish it would quit moving my stupid carrot. Alright, rect RU equals new rect. Steal from TRU. Steal from left. E dot padding UV dot width. E dot UV dot height minus E dot padding UV dot Y plus E dot padding UV dot height. And I overlook that. I can actually steal that too. LU dot height. Yes, I know we just typed that, but it's important that we reuse so that we're not calculating math that we have already calculated. I just wasn't paying attention. Because obviously, since I stole this, I can steal that. I really named it R-I. Whatever. We'll leave it like that. No, R-U. And that should be the right side. That looks right. Alright. Now then. Now we do the top. Rect. I used that already. I haven't. Yeah. Let's name it the same as before with the stupid I. TI equals new rect r dot x plus e dot padding dot x r dot y r dot width minus e dot. What the hell is up with this? Oh, because there's something going on with my keyboard. That's why. That's why it keeps on putting that stupid equal sign. Where was I? R dot width minus e dot padding dot x e dot padding dot width, and then e dot padding dot y. Yes, that's right. Rect top UV equals new rect. Then do the same as that. E dot x, e dot y, e dot UV dot width minus yes, it's exactly the same, but using padding. UV dot x plus e dot padding UV dot width e dot padding UV dot y. Fuck the equal sign. Width x width. Okay. So then that will give us the top. TI TU. And that gives us the top. Now the bottom. And we can reuse every variable now, I believe. Probably all but one. BL dot y and TI dot width, and then E dot padding dot height. You can actually steal all of those. And we'll just steal that as well. So new rect tu dot x blu dot y tu dot width e dot padding uv dot, come on, height. And there's bottom. All we need is the center now. So rect C equals new rect. I'm going to steal ti dot x ti.width, l.height. And that steals all of those. And then rect cu equals new rect tu.x, lu.y, tu.width, lu.height. And then we're going to draw it. C, CU. Make sure that it works. Boom. There is a square. Took long enough. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to return the center. So there we go. The box is completely done. Now since we're returning the rectangle for that, we can actually say rect r equals that box. And now we can actually say GUI dot label how is it going? I'm gonna wait, did I do that? Did that wrong, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't. And then I don't have a rect set up for that yet because we haven't done slicing yet, so we'll pass in the rect of the x and y of that rect, that center rect. And there you go. Padding is done. Drawing the box just as before. Alright. Now, what did I say? Oh, about doing this. Okay. So, along with draw texture, we need to do the exact same thing. Copy, then paste. Texture, draw rect, rect, color, C. So then this function is going to call this function. So we're just going to pass, oh you turd, say draw texture with text chords text, drawing rectangle, the UV, and since it's a texture, you need to pass in background color. Background color. So now draw texture with coordinates, or with texture coordinates. All that's going to do is it's going to call this function now. And then we're going to change this to C. So basically it does the exact same thing as it did before. But now, since we could be using background color, could be using text color, but they're using the same variable inside of the shader, we can do that now. Okay, never mind. we cannot do that right now because I do not have this set up to interact with draw texture with texture coordinates with this. I don't have it set up to work properly with it, but we will set that up in a future episode, maybe right before we do slicing. We will mess with getting that correctly using this function. So, but we can do is check the binds so that we're not binding so much crap. So I can say private static bound texture. Now bound text. Now I need, God, I'm not doing so hot. Int bound text equals -1 because nothing is bound. Down inside of this, since almost everything is going to be eventually calling this at some point, need to check. We're only going to bind it if it is not already bound. So if text dot id equals bound text. No, does not equal. So if the texture that I'm passing in is not the same as the texture that is currently being bound, then I'm going to bind it. Otherwise, it's already bound, so we don't need to do it. So another thing we need to do is for the color uniform. So we're going to come up here, we're going to say private static color bound color. Right? Let's see. Yes. So that equals null. So we're going to say if bound color equals null. Yeah. So if bound color equals null, and so if we have not bound a color yet, then now we're just going to say color.white. That'll work. So we're going to say if bound color dot if bound color dot equals C. Not with the lowercase e, with a capital E. And go into our color class. And say need a public function. So public Boolean equals. We're going to just return. I need a color C. So return C dot R equals R, or C dot R equals R, and C dot G equals G, and C dot B equals B, and C dot A equals A. No. B, C. Okay. So if all of my values equals the same as all of the color values that we're passing or comparing to. Wait, let's change this to compare. That'll work. Just so that we're not using that equal sign. So if bound color dot compare C, so returns true. If that is not true, the fuck? So if it's not true, then we're going to set the color. All right. So then that takes care of that. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will. Next episode, we will be working on uh, Windows, possibly. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I will see you on the next episode.